What's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're featuring one of the big anti-meta Pokemon that has come to rise in Regulation F, and that is Orthworm. So, you know, if you just look at Orthworm stats, they're not that great. Like base HP 70, not great attack, very poor special attack. SpDef is almost paper. It's got a really high defense, right? So you can already think of Iron Defense Body Press stuff. Okay, but there's other Pokemon that do this job a little bit better. So why would I have any reason to use this Pokemon Orthworm, right? So the secret lies in the ability, okay? It's called Earth Eater, and if you're new to competitive play, or if you're new to Regulation F, if you just read the ability, basically you get healed when you're hit by a ground move. The same way with Mortar Absorb, right? And you have ground immunity. Okay, can you think of a dominant ground type Pokemon with a ground type move that Orthworm can pretty much switch into? And if you're thinking Landorus-Incarnate, you are correct. Even the Therian form, right? So if you just look at this, right? Landorus has Earth Power, right? Typical set. Earth Power, it's got Sludge Bomb, and usually the most common move is Substitute, and then Protect here, Sheer Force, Life Orb, right? We just did a whole video on Landorus the other day, how it's a huge threat in Regulation F. Now enter Orthworm, okay? What is Earth Power doing? Nothing. In fact, it's actually healing me. So, you know, that's out of the equation. Then, how about Sludge Bomb? Also does nothing. Why? Because you're a Steel type. So, all of a sudden, Orthworm becomes this anti-Landorus Pokemon that you can use as a niche option on your team if you can afford it, okay? And then at the same time, not only do you have the Citrus Berry, and then not only do you have Protect, you have a secret move called Shed Tail, right? And if you don't know what Shed Tail does, it's basically Substitute, but you get to pass it on to a Pokemon, you know, in the back. So it's basically a free switch in behind a Substitute, okay? And once upon a time, this was done in Regulation C, and we'll get into that in a second, okay? But this is the set that has, you know, come to rise as of this moment. It's pretty much the same set as Regulation C. It did very well in a tournament the other day, you know, 500+ person tournament, and we'll look at that team in a second. But, you know, again, you can also consider Heavy Slam here, right? You know, and then that can also just snipe, you know, pretty much every single Flutter Mane. Now, that being said, Flutter Manes do have some bulk, and, you know, just straight Heavy Slam is not enough, okay? So you're going to have to do something there. But, you know, at the same time, you know, it is still a 2-hit KO. And then Flutter Mane not doing so much damage with that fairy move. Now, that granted, the SpDef is, again, like we said, paper. So you can always just go for Shadow Balls here. But at the same time, you know, if you have the ability to go for the Heavy Slam and pressure the Flutter Mane, you go for it, okay? And then at the same time, if you can just get to like +4 or +6 and then just start using your body presses against a lot of these Pokemon running around like Chien-Pao or like Porygon 2, or just basically anything with a neutral hit, you know, base 145 defense is actually really good. It's almost on par with Registeel. Think about Registeel and, you know, this thing going for Iron Defense Body Press. Like, this is base 150, this is base 145. It's not too far off, okay? And then this is susceptible to Earth Power from Landorus, while Orthworm is not. So there's the niche there, okay? But other than that, you know, Shed Tail, it has a great ability to switch into a sweeper, you know, called Dragonite. And we're going to show you and take a trip down Regulation C lane just to see how exactly Orthworm was used back then. And then fast forward to now, and let's see the comparisons of the Regulation C squad versus what we have now in Regulation F. Alright, so now a little bit of a history lesson. Let's go to David Kutesh's Twitter page, also known as HamstermaniaVGC. Go ahead and give him a follow if you haven't done so already. Very good VGC player, also a content creator as well. But David Kutesh, back in EUIC back in April, basically he decided to use Orthworm, right? And this is back when Ting-Lu was a dominant Fissure user, as well as Dondozo, okay? So now, if we take a look at David Kutesh's team from Regulation C, this is exactly what he was using. It was Orthworm, you know, Impish Nature, Shed Tail, Body Press, Iron Defense, Heavy Slam, the same set that we just showed you, okay? And it's doing a ton of damage, max SpDef, all right? Dragonite was Dragon Dance Lumberry set, and it was multi-scale back then. It was, nowadays, you see Inner Focus Dragonite, but back then, multi-scale was the better ability of choice, you know, again, because you get to, you know, just, again, not get intimidated and stuff like that. Not get intimidated. I'm sorry. You get not being able to take big damage on that first turn, right? So here's what we do. We go for the Shed Tail, and then we go into Dragonite, and now all of a sudden Dragonite is behind a substitute, and now you can go for these Dragon Dances, okay? And that's really, really important, right? Because if you can just set up one Dragon Dance, Dragonite is going to sweep you, okay? And then you add the fact that we have Chien-Pao on this team, so now already Chien-Pao Dragonite is already a formidable duo. Now you have Dragonite behind Dragon Dance, okay? Now that's really, really gonna start hurting. Okay, then at the same time, you have your Intimidate user like Gyarados, and Gyarados was using Bulldoze back then, right? So Bulldoze was really good because, again, you're next to Dragonite, you're a flying type, you don't take any Bulldoze damage, and then at the same time, you can heal your Orthworm because it's a ground move. So you get some decent longevity here with this Orthworm, especially if you can get off another Shed Tailor when you reposition it, right? And then Tinglu over here, which was used a lot at the time, also has Bulldoze here, and then, you know, just add a Flutter Mane, you know, for just another strong special attack damage dealer, right? So this was the idea back in Regulation C with Orthworm, and now what I'm going to show you is the idea in Regulation F, which has some comparison with this team over here from David Kutesh. So let's take a look. All right, so this tournament just finished recently. This is the Trainer School Tournament. This is basically another regional, right? Just like the Tom Hayden Christmas Tour, when that was 760 plus players, this was just a shade under 500 players. That is insane how these holiday tournaments are getting so many players. I mean, there is a prize pool, so that probably has something to do with it, right? But, you know, again, Volcarona taking it, right? 15-0 from Julio. That is amazing. We'll talk about Volcarona in another video. But if we scroll down, we're going to go to Ghiso's team over here. 9-2 record with Orthworm over here. And let's take a look here. So we can kind of see some similarities already. Citrus Berry, Terra Water, all right, that's going to be good against fire types. Heavy Slam, Body Press, Iron Defense, and Shed Tail. Again, similar set that we showed you from the Regulation C team. And then here we go, Dragonite, Chien-Pao. Dragonite has the clear amulet this time as opposed to Lumberry. That's going to be good for, you know, anti-intimidate stuff. Now you have multi-scale again, being able to not take so much damage with that first big hit. So, you know, if Flutter Mane is going for that big Moonblast, you can survive it at least, or even like an ice move in general. And then here we go, same set, Extreme Speed, Dragon Dance, Terra Blast, Terra Flying, and then Earthquake. Okay, and again, when that is put next to Orthworm, you're going to be able to heal it. So where's my Bulldoze Pokemon? Right here, Entei. Now the secret comes out. So Entei being this fast Bulldoze user or fast Snarl user, this is going to be really, really good. You're right, you get to mitigate you know, special attack damage. You get to give yourself some speed control with Bulldoze. All right, you have inherent speed control here with Dragon Dance. Okay, and then you have that Flutter Mane here for that, again, lone special attacker that David Kutesh also had in Regulation C. So a lot of similarities here. Terra, Stellar, all right, Chien-Pao is on the rise. Of course, we've seen that a little bit with Flutter Mane as well, but now we see it here with Chien-Pao. And then, of course, instead of Tinglu, you know, which is not relevant, you know, as much in Regulation F, now we have something called Ogerpon. The Wellspring Ogerpon is really, really good because, again, if you just look at this, we want to be able to protect ourselves against Urshifu. So Ogerpon can definitely do that, you know, with this redirection support. And again, it does hit a little bit harder with Chien-Pao on the field as well. So we have a lot of ideas here, right? So you can simply lead like Ogerpon and Orthworm. You can click Follow Me and go into Shed Tail and then go into Dragonite here. And then, you know, again, just start setting up these Dragon Dances. And then you can still, and if Ogerpon is still alive, you get to click Follow Me again. And then just keep setting up these Dragon Dances. Keep your substitute going. Then you can start swapping in Chien-Pao and start dealing these big Extreme Speed or Terra Blast, Terra Flying, you know, +1 or +2 Dragon Dances, and then Dragonite can just sweep the opponent's team, right? And then if they're still alive, then you can just bring in Flutter Mane in the back and then just clean things up, right? Potentially, right? So, you know, lots of ideas here. You can also bring in Entei here with Chien-Pao. Chien-Pao does a ton of damage. Again, you know, with Sacred Fire, you can even click Bulldoze, Protect first, you know, get some speed control, and then start going for the big Sacred Fires and the big Icicle Crashes. You know, same concept there. All right, so lots of cool combinations here that you can definitely do. Again, Dragon Fairy Steel combination with Dragonite, Flutter Mane, and the Orthworm. Fire, Water, Grass with, you know, the Entei and the Ogerpon, right? So some good, you know, typing, good flexibility behind this team from Ghiso. I like it a lot. So shout outs to him for coming up with the Orthworm idea, you know, in a meta where like Landorus-Incarnate is pretty much A+ tier right now. So I like this idea a lot. So what we're going to do is let's go into Showdown. Let's build this team real quick with our own EV spreads. We don't have Ghiso's EVs, of course. He's going to keep that a secret, of course. But we have our own spreads. And then let's just test it out and let's see how Orthworm functions in a quick game. All right? Okay, let's just do some quick general EVs here. Nothing too crazy. Just something to be able to test real quick. So, again with Entei, I just like a fast snarl user. So let's just go max speed here. Let's hit the third benchmark here in the attack stat. Let's get a nice even number in the SPDF, with the Assault Vest. Triple digits with the Assault Vest. 100 is what we want. Then from here, these 24 EVs, we can put them wherever we want. We can just split it evenly here with HP and defense. 192 is a nice little benchmark number when you're going against Rillabooms for optimal grassy terrain recovery. It's a factor of 16, so, might as well go for that. Flutter Mane here. So I like just a straight up modest Flutter Mane here for damage. So I think we can just go right here with something like this. 196, this is enough to outspeed the genies, something like Tornadus at least. And then just go modest 116, for the benchmark number, and then just 1 point in defense, and then, SPDF, and then just 116, and then 76 here. This is enough for Jolly Ice Spinner, and then a little bit of Urshifu stuff. Dragonite. So here's the thing with Dragonite. I think we got to go Jolly here just because, we have the idea for going for Dragon Dance. Let's go max speed here. This is enough to at least outspeed the Scarf Landuses. And then if we have, +1 Dragon Dance, we will definitely outspeed it anyway. I think from here, we just go something like this, 1 point in SPDF. Maybe right here, 176 is good. A nice even number here. And then after that, we can just dump the rest into HP like this. Again, these are just like very, very quick EVs that I want to just use and get on top of the ladder. Ogre Pond. So I like this idea right now with Ogre Pond with 252 HP and 100 defense. This is at least will help me survive, Entei Sacred Fire stuff. Boosted with Chien-Pao at the very least. 76 investment here. 12 SPDF just to get a nice even number for, the terrestrialization if we ever go for it. And then the rest just goes into speed like this, right? Why is this Terra type grass? This should be water. Okay, anyway, Orthworm here. So same stuff. We don't really need speed on the Orthworm. We're just going to put 1 point here. We will go Impish Nature just to get the full value out of our body press stuff. And I think this is all we need. The first benchmark here. Let's go something like this. Again, the same idea, just going for, well, we do need max SPDF like this. I think that's important. And then nice little even number at the very least for the citrus berries. So I think we can just go with this, the old Reg C set with Orthworm. And then Chien-Pao here, you can just go Adamant 252, 252, right? So again, just very, very quick general EVs, just hitting benchmarks. And again, if you're wondering what I was saying with the attack stat here with Entei hitting the third benchmark here. If you're trying to play competitive Pokemon, if you're trying to learn a little bit more about team building and you don't know how to EV your Pokemon, you always start with your bumps here. So if you don't know what EV bumps are, comment in the video description below, or, not video description, comment in the video below asking what are EV bumps, and I will explain to you what they are. Here is the third bump, okay? So if you already know what they are, great. If not, ask me, and then I will explain to you what they are. All right, same thing here. We had the second bump here in the modest nature for the Flutter Mane. All right, but again, just very general EVs, just something to test real quick. So let's do a little test battle and see if we can find some Landuses and see if we can use the value of Orthworm. All right, so we got someone here with the Landorus here, and he's got a Sun Walking Wake team, but the Sun is coming from Ninetales as opposed to Torkoal. He's got a Thundurus there. I would imagine that also has Sunny Day here. There is an Okidogi there for some apparent reason. I couldn't tell you why. There is Rillaboom and there's the Landorus. Okay, so pretty standard team other than the Okidogi, I would say. He's got some good ideas here. But, again, tell me what Dragonite doesn't do this. Like, Dragonite goes ham, if we can set up a couple Dragon Dances and start sweeping here. But we just need to be able to set it up. I do like Chien-Pao here as well, potentially. And, of course, we are going to bring Orthworm and then Flutter Mane in the back just because it puts on a ton of pressure, against the Walking Wake. And it will get the benefit of the Sun from the Ninetales to be able to do some big damage. So let's go for that. All right, so Ninetales comes out, and so does the Walking Wake. So he's going to get the special attack boost, I would imagine, unless he's going for speed here. And we're going to go with Orthworm Chien-Pao here. So I'm pretty much forced to go for Terra Water here and try and get the Shed Tail going. Icicle Crash does good damage into Walking Wake. And there's the Flamethrower, so that's good. All right, Ninetales goes for Will-O-Wisp as opposed to Heat Wave, so that's fine. All right, Shed Tail, we get some Citrus Berry recovery, and now we get that free switch into Dragonite behind the sub, okay? So now, here's what we do. All right, He goes Ninetales, Terra Ghost. That's fine. Walking Wake protects. That's still okay. All right. Either way, that means Dragonite is going to be able to get off this Dragon Dance. We do take some damage, but again, we hold on. The sub holds, and now we go into the Dragon Dance. And now Dragonite looks really good here. And now we bring in Flutter Mane. Walking Wake has taken some good chip damage. Ninetales went for Terra Ghost. So this is +1 E-Speed. Goodbye, Walking Wake. Here is Stab Super Effective Shadow Ball. That's +1. Goodbye, Ninetales. All right, so now we're cooking here. He's got 2 options left. There's the Okie Dokie, and there is Rillaboom. Rillaboom is not going to be doing anything right now. We're going to just set up Protect. We're going to go for another Dragon Dance. Okay, so that's good. And there's the Hard Press, and it looks like there was knockoff here, but again, we're kind of chilling. Okay, so now there's the upper hand. He does get a little bit of a flinch there, of course. Flutter Mane does get some damage with Dazzling Gleam. That's good spread damage, honestly. And there's Solar Blade, and he goes for Flutter Mane, and he kills. He gets a crit. All right, that's okay. I don't know why Rillaboom's going for Solar Blade here. But now we can just safely go for some Earthquake stuff. Now, if we can get that off against Earthquake, that's going to be good. Now he goes for Grassy Glide. He does remove the Orthworm. Now, I understand that grassy terrain will reduce earthquake damage, but it was still totally fine. I was banking on the off chance that maybe he doesn't go for the Orthworm there. But we removed the Okie Dokie, and now we have the Rillaboom in range of Extreme Speed, which is exactly what we want. I think it was in range before, technically. You know, we were +2, but now we just definitely KO'd the Rillaboom, and there's nothing else he can really do about it, right? And that's it. So, again, you saw the value for the Orthworm, right? We were able to set up the Shed Tail. We went into Dragonite. We clicked Dragon Dance. We got 2 Dragon Dances off. You couldn't really do much there. And from there, Dragonite pretty much just killed 3 Pokemon, right? We killed Walking Wake and then Rillaboom and the Okie Dokie, technically, right? And that's the value of Orthworms, right? So it's not just a Landorus-Incarnate counter, right? It can also enable the Dragonite, you know, to go for these Dragon Dances. And that's a huge thing if Dragonite can, you know, sweep teams like this, which was done in Regulation C for a hot minute. But now with this Orthworm idea from Ghiso, I like it a lot. And shout out to them for coming up with the team. All right. But that's going to do it for now, folks. Let me know what you think of Orthworm. Let me know what you think of Ghiso's team. And if it was, you know, something up your alley that you might be willing to try. And if you want the spreads, again, you can just see here. I'll just put it. I guess I can put it here in the video description below. But again, these are just very general quick EVs that I just came up with just to test it real quick. All right, I guess I can put the paste in the description. But yeah, if you're interested in coaching on the channel, if you're trying to go to a regional, if you're trying to do some online ranked ladder play, if you're trying to go for an online tournament, all right, we've been helping a lot of people get some, you know, CP at some of their locals, and that's going to continue again as we move forward with Regulation F. So if this is something up your alley, feel free to, you know, sign up on the channel for coaching. Tier 3 sub gets you a one-on-one meeting with me. So if you look in the video description, there is a link there to join the channel with the Tier 3 sub. If you look in the comments section, same thing. The link is there to join with that Tier 3 sub. All right, and then once you do, you can join the Discord. You can message me. You can interact with me. You can interact with other members of my community. And then we do a lot of teaching on the channel, right? And that's the goal of the channel, to teach you how to play VGC. All right, so that's going to do it for now, folks. Happy New Year. We'll be back with another video in the next one. Rental code video in the next one. Peace out. Have a good one.